From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Nick Monticelli. Thank you for starting your week with us here on Local 4 Live. Here's what we're going to be getting into today. The man accused of harassing and attacking a group of two same-sex couples while at a casino will be in court today. So Darnell, who was a former police officer, is going to explain when the state's intimidation laws kick in and the specific criteria that goes into them. Plus, with the new school year getting closer and closer, we keep thinking about what's in store for Detroit schools while the city picks a new mayor. We're going to focus on how these candidates are trying to pull more students back into the classroom. And I'm sure you probably caught some of the Lions game, or at least heard about the scary moment that brought all of that game to a halt. The score was the last thing on everybody's mind when Maurice Norris went down. We're going to talk to a doctor who used to serve as a chiropractor for the Lions about Maurice's recovery. Well, let's get to what's topping our news this morning here on your Monday. A Detroit neighborhood reeling from a night of violence after 4 people were stabbed. 31-year-old Jackery Williams and a woman in her 20s were killed, while 2 others were hurt. One of them is expected to survive, while the other one is still in critical condition. This was during a pool party Saturday night at a home near 7 Mile and Fleming Street. We're told this was supposed to be a family gathering, but when Williams tried to break up a fight, that's when it turned deadly. Jackery Williams' mother opened up about how she'll have to bury yet another son.
He was kind. He was kind. He was kind.
Just unfortunate they were all together. It was all, it was a family thing.
It was a family thing.
It was a family event. It ain't like it was a bunch of young people running around.
Well, police say they do know who they're looking for, but if you know anything that could help officers find those folks, please call Detroit Police. The Macomb Township Fire Department is grappling with staffing shortages. According to the union, 2 firefighters were hurt while battling a fire this weekend, and several others are in and out of rehab because of the heat. The union secretary said at the time of the fire, there was only 8 full-time firefighters on duty. He says the amount of full-time staff at the department falls well below national standards. The union is trying to get the township board's attention. They are encouraging people to reach out to the township board about the issues they're having. Let's take a live look at the White House this morning as those inside get ready for the president's meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. President Donald Trump is trying to find an end to the fighting in Ukraine, but his idea is not sitting with the Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. Trump is suggesting swapping land with Russia, and Zelensky made it clear he is not taking part in that deal. Vice President J.D. Vance was in England over the weekend with top Ukrainian and European officials talking through Ukraine's peace proposals. Now, you may have to toss out your favorite pack of cookies or just take them back to the store because hundreds of these sugar cookie cases sold at Target are being recalled. The FDA says the Favorite Day bakery frosted sugar cookies may have foreign material that could even be wood. The recall, issued back on July 22nd, affects more than 800 cases distributed across 20 states, including here in Michigan. If you bought these cookies, it is best to check and avoid eating them. Well, there has been a lot of talk in the Detroit mayoral race about businesses, neighborhoods, and keeping the momentum going in the city. But today, we're going to dig more into one of the most important aspects of any city, the education system. City Council President Mary Sheffield and Triumph Church Pastor Solomon Kinlock are facing off in the general election. In reporting done by Chalkbeat Detroit, both candidates say they plan to tackle attendance issues. We'll take a look at some of these numbers. In the Detroit Public School Community District, about 60% of students were considered chronically absent during the last school year, and that's far above the state average of 30%. If a student misses 10% or 18 days of the school year, they are considered chronically absent. After the primary election, we asked Mary Sheffield and Solomon Kinlock their plans to help boost education in Detroit.
I believe that the mayor has to be a strong partner. The conversation should not be about who controls the school system at this point, but how is the mayor going to come in and help change outcomes? And that is my goal and my commitment. We know that absenteeism is the #1 issue, and oftentimes our young people are not coming to school because of the social determinants, whether it's childcare for the family, transportation, housing. These are the issues that I believe as mayor that the city can better address. So we're going to be working on safe routes to school, ensuring that we have robust after school programming for our young people to help with math and reading levels. And we're also going to launch a community education commission, bringing DPSCD charter and our superintendent to the table to really begin to measure the gaps and how the city can be a greater partner.
One of the things that we would do as the next mayor is to appoint a cabinet level position, chief educational officer.
Okay.
That would be a part of my administration that wouldn't supplant and wouldn't replace the school board, because the residents in the city have already said that they want an elected school board. But we would put somebody in partnership with them to address the social ills that address truancy. We want to talk about fixing the problem of children not showing up to class, but we got to deal with all of those social issues, and the city needs to partner with the districts in order to make sure that we're leveraging the resources of the city in order to accomplish that.
All right, so to talk more about this, we're going to bring in the reporter crunching all the numbers. Lori Higgins is with Chalkbeat Detroit. That's a nonprofit news organization covering education. Lori, thank you so much for joining me here. Obviously, we see the numbers here, and both candidates kind of alluded to some of the issues, but are you seeing any trends behind the numbers, what some of the reasons are for this absenteeism?
Sure. There's a number of causes for chronic absenteeism, and I first just want to point out that DPSCD obviously gets a lot of attention for its high chronic absenteeism rate, but we also see the same happening in many of the charter schools in the city. And it comes down to poverty being a leading cause of it, and that is presenting itself in transportation issues, housing issues, health issues, and safety. I still remember interviewing a parent a couple years ago who lives maybe about 4 or 5 blocks away from her daughter's school, but she's often having health issues and can't walk her daughter to school. And when she can't walk her to school, her daughter just doesn't go to school. And by the middle of that school year, her daughter had missed 50 school days. And when it comes to transportation, you look at the fact that high school students in the Detroit School District don't have yellow school bus transportation, so they take city buses to get to school for the most part, or they get, private transportation from their parents. What we heard from a lot of kids is that, the bus system is not consistent. We interviewed a kid who, 6 o'clock in the morning, he was on his way to school. It was cold. He's at the bus stop. The bus just drives right past him. And so he said, I'm not going to wait another 45 minutes for a bus, so I'm just going to go home. So that's how easy it is for a student to become chronically absent. And a lot of these are issues that schools by themselves can't handle. They can't address these. They can't fix the poverty issues in the city. And that's why there's been a growing call for the city to play a stronger role in helping schools address these issues.
What's interesting too is that oftentimes when we talk about absenteeism and kids not making it to school, sometimes the blame is placed directly on the kid or the parents, thinking they just don't want to be there, when rarely is that the case.
You're right. I mean, there are some students who just don't want to come to school, but for the most part, I believe, based on our interviewing, based on our reporting, that parents in general want their kids to get to school, that kids want to get to school. There are just factors that are making it very difficult for them to get to school.
So speaking of those factors, and you kind of listed a lot of them, and both candidates listed some there as well. You've been covering education in the city of Detroit for some time now. What do you think are some of the key issues that need to be addressed? Is it transportation? Is it childcare? Is it better access to health care for some of those parents? Or is it everything?
Honestly, Nick, it's everything. I don't think that there's any one issue that candidates can address. I think that they have to address all of it. But I do think that the city is in a good position to be able to tackle some of these issues, to provide resources to families, to look and see what the gaps are, to figure out like what can the city do to address some of these issues with the school leaders as partners. Yeah, I'll just repeat it. Like I don't think that there's any one thing that that they can latch onto and say, this is going to be our big issue. I think they've got to address a lot of different things.
Yeah. Okay, Lori, we are going to take a short 90-second break for commercials. When we come back, we're going to talk more about this. Welcome back to Local 4 Live. We are back now with Lori Higgins from Chalkbeat Detroit, which is a nonprofit news organization covering education. Lori, we had just talked about some of the issues that were causing absenteeism and causing kids not to get to school, especially in the city of Detroit. And I know I asked you, which one do you think, is an issue? You said all of them. Do you think that one of them, if addressed first, would get the most kids back to school?
I'm not sure. I will say that transportation is a pretty key issue. Kids can't get to school if they don't have transportation. And data from the Detroit peer group at Wayne State shows that I think a third of Detroiters don't have access to a car. And so, and the district actually surveyed students recently, and they talked about this at the last school board meeting, that a lot of the kids said that if the district provided bikes for them, they would be able to get to school on a regular basis. Now, bikes sounds like a really great idea, except when you think about Michigan winters.
Right.
And that's not going to be very practical in the winter, but it certainly would be, during the spring and fall months. So I do think that if there's one, and I'm not an expert, so I'm just thinking offhand, just based on what we've heard from young people, that transportation would probably be something that would work. I'll note that the Detroit School District is piloting a program next year to provide yellow school bus transportation for students who attend Henry Ford High School and East English Village High School. Those two schools have very high rates of chronic absenteeism, and the idea is to see whether or not providing the yellow school bus transportation actually improves chronic absenteeism in those schools.
Gotcha. Okay, so not necessarily in the city of Detroit as of late, but we have seen in many communities this kind of push and pull and tug of war between city leaders and school leaders, because the school leaders, they have their own mayor, so to speak, and the superintendent. What do you think the conversations need to be here in Detroit, so this next mayor, whoever it might be, is working closely but not overbearing with Dr. Vitti?
Yeah, for sure. That is an issue. Detroit has had mayoral control, and there were not great feelings about that time in the city's history. And I think, as you heard the two candidates already say, like, they have no intention of wanting to control the school district. I think that they need to be, to live up to that, they will have to demonstrate that they just want to be a partner with the school districts. They just want to be able to bring school leaders together. You heard that from both of them, wanting to bring school leaders both from charter schools and the school district to sit at the table together to talk about some of these issues. And that can be tricky in Detroit, given that we have one school district, but we also have 56 different charter school boards, and they're all independently operated, and they're not used to having this kind of collaboration, but this may be what's needed in the city to address some of the issues.
Well, and as we've said multiple times now, looking at the issues that are likely the ones leading to these issues, I mean, transportation, childcare, top in the list, healthcare on there as well, but those are things that the city can help with.
Absolutely, yes. We wrote about how asthma is contributing to chronic absenteeism, and interviewed a family that talked about like all of their children have really severe asthma and they were missing a lot of school. And so they were working closely with one of the local hospitals to provide the kind of medical support that those young people needed in order to make sure they could get to school. And it's improved since, this became a critical issue in that family. So we see, the medical community helping, but and I think that is probably what's going to be needed for all these other issues. The transportation community, there are folks that think that the city needs to address some of the inconsistency issues with the city buses. So there are a number of opportunities for people who have the power to do something to address some of these issues.
Yeah, and speaking of it, and producer Steven's already told me that I'm out of time, but I have to ask one more question, Steven. I'm sorry. Lori, do you anticipate education being a key role or at least one of the roles in the November general election?
Oh, absolutely. I think that there are going to be a lot of big issues, but education for sure is one of them. I think this is the first time we've seen the candidates being very vocal and passionate about this issue. So I do expect it to be a key issue in the November general.
Which is ironic because they don't control the school system. So we'll see how it goes.
Exactly.
All right, Lori, thank you so much for your time this Monday morning. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, switching gears here. The Detroit City FC has a big update on its new stadium. Coming up next year on Local 4 Live, what the club is getting ready to unveil to fans at their new home. Welcome back to Local 4 Live, everybody. A live look at Corktown on this Monday morning, not far from where the Detroit City FC Football Club will be building their new stadium. Today, we'll be getting an update on the major revamp as the team reveals the stadium's name and the new shareholders and the renderings. As you might know, they are going to be turning this old Southwest Hospital into the team's new home. At last check, DCFC proposed an 11-acre development for that soccer stadium that can hold 15,000 fans. And this is going to be more than a sports venue. It can also host concerts. The $150 million project for DCFC will be privately financed and owned and operated by the team. Now, in 2027, that is when the club hopes to have the stadium open. Local 4 will be at tonight's big announcement. at Mexican Town Mercado. You can catch it on Local 4 Plus, happening at 7 o'clock tonight. Okay, on this Monday morning, we have been dealing with a whole lot of heat and a whole lot of humidity over the past weekend. Is there any break in sight? Ashley has the answer. Hey, Ash.
Now, forewarned weather with Exact Track 4D.
Well, your out the door forecast for a new work week. It's going to be, we'll call it a melting Monday. It is hot, humid, just a steamy start to the week. So 90, 91, the afternoon high, but feeling more like mid 90s when you factor in the humidity. And we'll have a very similar setup tomorrow, but a better chance for maybe more numerous showers into the afternoon and evening on Tuesday compared to today's very isolated chances. But nonetheless, we have multiple chances of showers and some non-severe storms over the next couple of days, and those could produce some heavy downpours, but cold front sweeps through Wednesday. Behind that will be a drier, less humid air mass and slightly cooler temperatures. Still trending above average, but it'll be a little cooler than these 90s we're talking about. So a few afternoon showers and storms in the forecast, but otherwise we top out right around 90. We have more sunshine to start, a few more clouds mixing in throughout the afternoon, but that sunshine very filtered. We have that light smoke layer draping the region, and that's that wildfire smoke, but not as strong as what it was over the course of the last week or so. So moderate pollutants draping portions of southeastern Michigan for today. Now let's talk rain, because we dodged a massive rain system that was over Milwaukee over the weekend, bringing flash flooding to that area just west of Lake Michigan. And as that pushed to the east-northeast, it definitely tapered off as it worked its way across lower Michigan. So we stayed dry, but up north, closer to Traverse City, saw some of that rain. We'll zoom in a bit closer where you see several inches of rain that fell in a very short amount of time in Milwaukee and just north of the city. Hour by hour look at our rain chances. So you see that they are very spotty after 2 o'clock this afternoon. This is a little snapshot right around 5. These are those popcorn type of showers, very similar to what you see in Florida, where in the heat of the day, you get that passing downpour and it fizzles out. Now Tuesday before 2 p.m., I'm not ruling out a few of these showers developing, but they do become more numerous and definitely heavier once we get into Tuesday evening. Possibly even some widespread rain come Tuesday night, which will be great to give your lawn a break from the heat that we've been dealing with. And Wednesday, as that cold front pushes through, we still could have a lingering shower. But tonight, don't anticipate opening up the windows. 72 for the overnight low, partly cloudy skies and still muggy out there as we hold on to a south-southwesterly breeze. Tomorrow night, we'd have some neat viewing in the sky if we didn't have the rain in the forecast. And so the Perseids meteor shower is set to peak tomorrow night after midnight. But before you're like, oh, what a bummer. Well, you still can see it. I mean, we've been dealing with this throughout the month, and it'll continue all the way till about August 23rd. But 50 to 100 meteors per hour is during the peak, which would be tomorrow night. You just want to stay away from city lights if you're going to take that in for the later part of the week as we clear out the sky. So cold front sweeps through, cooler air will then build in as we go into your Thursday and your Friday. You see, though, still above average. 82 is average and will be in the mid, maybe even upper 80s. But we get some sunshine to round out the work week. And before you know it, this weekend, it's going to be another hot one on either side of 90.
Okay, so no breaks. Got it. Thanks, Ash. Well, you could feel the shock and the worry fill the stadium when a Lions player went down. We're going to talk to somebody who helped patch up the Lions about the hopeful signs in Maurice Norris's recovery from Friday's game when we come back. Good morning, everybody. I'm Nick Monticelli with the Local 4 update. This morning, the man accused of a hate crime against two same-sex couples outside of MGM Casino will be back in court. Police say 26-year-old William Wilson attacked the group back in July in the Valet area. A judge will decide today if there's enough evidence for him to stand trial on hate crime charges. Well, if you're watching us on TV right now, why don't you switch over to Local 4 Plus and click on Detroit.com for 90 minutes of in-depth news. Next, we're talking with the former chiropractor for the Lions about Maurice Norris's recovery. Plus, as we inch closer to the start of the school year, a refresher on the safety and mental health resources that are there for students and parents. And American Ninja Warrior debuts its 17th finale tonight. We're going to talk to two former contestants and coaches on what that competition is like. Ashley is going to come back with a look at your forecast in just a few minutes. Keep it right here on Local 4 and Local 4 Plus.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Welcome back to Local 4 Live, everybody. I'm Nick Monticelli. Our top story this half hour, Detroit Lions football. Let's take a live look over Ford Field this morning. That's where on Saturday, Detroiters will be back to the grit as the Lions host a preseason matchup against the Miami Dolphins. Now, I'm sure when the Lions play, a lot of you are going to be thinking about what happened over the weekend. Now, many fans still thinking about safety Maurice Norris. The second-year Lion is now on the up and up after a terrifying moment during Friday's preseason game. During the fourth quarter, Norris was trying to tackle a Falcon running back. He went down. After Norris went down, trainers immediately brought out the backboard and players from both teams took a knee on the field. When the teams retook the field, the Falcons snapped the ball and stood without trying to do anything. Now, for a few moments, players from both teams held hands in a circle around the football. The game was then suspended shortly after that. Now, after being carted off the field, Norris took to social media saying he's all good and thanking everyone for their support. An injury like this, though, is a reminder of just how dangerous football can be for the players. So joining me this morning is Dr. Solomon Kogan, the owner and clinical director of the Nerve and Disc Institute He's also, just coincidentally, the former chiropractor to the Lions and the Tigers. Good morning. Thank you for being here. I see you brought a prop. We'll get to that in a moment.
I did.
When you saw Maurice go down like that and you saw the kind of injury, what was going through your mind?
It was terrifying.
Yeah.
I mean, it's when you see something like that and someone is out, that's scary in and of itself. But when you see them start to convulse, like have a seizure activity in his legs like he did, it's absolutely terrifying.
What does that tell you?
It tells me that there's no question that there was an injury to the brain or spinal cord.
Okay. So then what are your thought processes in terms of seeing that happen and what needs to happen next for him?
Well, that is an all hands on deck situation. Yeah. So first of all, when someone is knocked unconscious, you have to assume the worst. And although we want to be positive from a medical perspective, you have to assume the absolute worst. So you know that you have to plan on that there is a potential severe spinal cord injury. And that's why if you were to replay it and watch, you saw a guy very quickly go like this, put their hands up, and that means, hey, everybody let's go. And the ambulance came to the backboard, and you have to stabilize the cervical spine because the person that's out can't convey necessarily information about what's going on to them. So that's first and foremost. Also, when there's a spinal cord injury, you have to worry about cardiac problems and breathing problems because the nerves that come from the spine go to those organs, and that's why the ambulance came right out there. So it was really pretty amazing what a great job the medical team did. And I'm not sure if you noticed, but the first person out on the field was one of the Falcons medical staff.
I've noticed that multiple injuries. It doesn't matter who's hurt, they're all going out.
And it's we just happen to be closer to their sideline. They got there first. When a player is injured, it's not about us against them anymore. Now it's about taking care of the human being. And what's interesting is we think of preseason to evaluate players. Well, the reality is it's preseason for the medical staff too. And although all these people are experts at what they do, they haven't necessarily worked together before. And then you combine that with working with the medical staff of the other team and EMS, it really showed that they did a fantastic job of working together, managing this emergency situation.
Have you, I'm sure many people have, looked at the replay, kind of rewound it, go back and forth, trying to see where the injury was?
Oh, man, yeah. So, you know, it's interesting because TV, a lot of times they'll block that stuff out.
Exactly.
And I have the ability to go and watch it, and I've probably watched it 50, 60, 80 times. I mean, I watch it over and over again and frame by frame. And what I can tell you is, from where I sit, it was a terrifying type of injury because when he came to make the tackle, his head dropped. And your neck is supposed to have a nice C-shaped curve. And part of the reason that curve is it acts as a shock absorber, kind of like a bendy straw, right? And when his neck was straight, that takes a lot of the shock absorption out and translated into the brain and spinal cord. And then after that, probably when he was knocked unconscious from the initial contact, you saw his head violently whip back. So that compounds an already bad situation.
When you've got injuries like that, obviously you need to, you know, stabilize and get them as immobile as possible. You don't want to move anything around. But how do you do that when you have to get them off the field into an ambulance and then to a hospital?
Well, and that's funny because someone asked me the other day, well, what took so long to get him in the ambulance? Well, the reality is, these people are trained. I mean, there's training staff and medical staff and EMS people, and they do a great job working together, not allowing the spine to move, getting them on the backboard. And that's really first and foremost. And that's not a rush situation.
It's not like, your time.
Yeah, if someone stops breathing or you know, you have to intubate them or something like that, that's a right now. This, you'd rather be slow and accurate, not slow, but you know, methodical about how you do it, and that's what they do.
Gotcha. So from Friday night's game until now, we have seen significant progress, right? We've seen it back at the training facility. What does that tell you?
Well, one, thank God, right? Thank God. When you see something like that, you think of God back in the day when Mike Otley got injured. I mean, these are horrible, life-changing things. So, you know, it tells us that, well, look, man, he's not paralyzed, he's alive. Those things are wonderful. You know, I'm sure he's got some pain. I mean, you know, but at the end of the day, the fact that he was able to get back, get into the facility, I think it's wonderful, and tells us that he probably has a very good prognosis. Now, I didn't review any of his information. I haven't seen him. I'm not his doctor. But what I'll tell you from where I sit, just watching this progression, it's all great news.
Yeah. So you expect him to play again this season? Do you think?
So, you know, like I said, I'm not
his doctor.
I'm not his doctor. That's for them to decide. I do know that he has to go through a concussion protocol no matter what. And every concussion is different on every person. So how long that takes will be determined by, you know, how fast he gets back to his baseline. So, you know, could it be weeks? Could it be months? Yes, but I have no idea about the residual spine stuff. I mean, if you have a disc problem or muscular problems, I mean, it's almost like a whiplash, but worse. So I'm not in a position to tell you whether he's coming back or not, and I'm sure the team will do it when they're good and ready to tell you.
Speaking of, you know, we have heard some horror stories and seen some movies about, you know, teams that apply pressure and make some people go out and play when they probably shouldn't be. I don't see that kind of dialogue coming down from the Lions.
Oh no! I will tell you, football has changed so much in the past 40 years, but I can speak to the past 25 years. So, you know, I was with the Lions from 2000 to 2014, and I saw a dramatic change in that time period. In the day, you had a concussion, you got your bell rung, you go back in. Now we realize that concussion is a brain injury. And the most important thing is to shut down, relax, and not put any stress. Teams, you know, the NFL, the league, teams, everybody is thinking about the people now. And it's
versus the game board.
And that's what's so great about professional athletes. I see it with the Tigers, I've seen it with the Lions. The idea is to get to the cause of the problem, not treat the symptoms. In the old days, you treat the symptoms with professional athletes, get them back in the game. But now we're looking at long-term viability of the player as opposed to a short-term fix. And I wish healthcare, you know, for regular people was the same way, because we just want to get out of pain. The reality is you want to fix a problem. And that's kind of what we do in our office. We want to get to the cause.
I'm kind of curious. Obviously, there's a lot of pressure put on the athletes. What kind of pressure is there on the trainers and the doctors, in especially moments like that where you're thinking one wrong move and this guy's career is over and the entire world is watching me right now?
Yeah, I mean, no question. I mean, there is pressure, but in those moments, you're honed in. I mean, I will tell you.
You can kind of drown everything else out?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know. I used to know the whole medical staff. Now I know Dr. Brad, the ER doctor, who's fantastic. But when situations like this happen, it's you one-on-one with the patient, and a good doctor, that's when they're at their best. You know, so you're not thinking about what if, you're thinking, what do I need to do next? And they work as a team to do it, and really did a nice job in this case.
Gotcha. Okay, Dr. Koga, thank you so much, man.
My pleasure.
Good to see you. Take care of yourself. Okay, when we come back, Darnell is going to join us in the studio talking about the legal line that's drawn for ethnic intimidation laws ahead of hearing about the hate crime that happened at a Detroit casino. Welcome back, everybody. In less than 2 hours, the man accused of committing a hate crime against 2 same-sex couples will be back in court. Police say 26-year-old William Wilson reportedly attacked the group outside of MGM Casino in downtown Detroit. The group told Local 4 William Wilson started hurling homophobic slurs at them and then started swinging. In today's hearing, a judge will decide if there's enough evidence for this case to move forward and if hate crime charges are applicable. Now, joining us to talk more about these ethnic intimidation laws in the state of Michigan is our crime and safety expert, Donnell Blackburn. Applicable is the key word here. What is the line in the sand on whether this is just an awful act or if it really is a hate crime?
The line in the sand are the slurs.
Okay.
So a lot of people think, and I gave this example earlier today, Nick, that if someone does something like, it's a heinous act to burn a cross on the yard of somebody, that may be a minority or someone that looks different than you. Mm-hmm. That is a crime because if you put the burning cross on somebody's yard, it's a malicious destruction of property. Mm-hmm. And that's a crime. But
you can't prove the intent behind it.
You can't prove the intent behind it. And a lot of people miss that, especially people of minorities or people who may have
different religious backgrounds. Anything.
You can't prove the intent. Now, if they burn that cross and they put a slur there and they say something too, that's ethnic intimidation. And that's where the line is drawn. In this particular case, this instance, the homophobic slurs that were said just prior to the act happening, that leads it along with the assault is something that is clearly in my definition ethnic intimidation. So to kind of talk about this, there's certain criteria that must be met. It has to be a crime has to be a felony or a misdemeanor. It has to be a specific indication that this crime was committed because of or against a person because of their race, religion, sexual orientation, nationality, or maybe disability even. Oh. And so in this case, those slurs being yelled and the assault happening simultaneously, it's most likely that this is going to be an ethnic intimidation case.
So when you have that case and the charges get upgraded because of it, are there larger penalties or more jail time? Or how does that work?
Typically it's just enhanced. There may be a slightly larger penalty in terms of jail time, but really the key is to just prevent the ethnic intimidation from occurring, the whole crime from occurring, but really tacking on that ethnic intimidation is something they want to make sure, look, we draw the line at this. As our state government.
It's more of a social thing than.
Absolutely, we're not going to accept it. And so, it becomes an issue, a huge issue. So
when you see something like that, as a police officer has responded to how many calls just like that, especially because, assaults that involve that type of heated exchange, they're usually more dangerous, aren't they?
They are because people are so passionate, and unfortunately, a lot of people are so distant and separate in their beliefs right now. And in this time and stage, it does become a lot more heated, and it's frustrating. And as a person who, I've experienced it personally myself, experienced disparaging remarks, and even from law enforcement. As a police officer, heard people say things to me.
As a black man and as
a cop, and as both, as a cop in uniform hearing it, and as a black man hearing it out of uniform. And so it's a tough thing, and these types of things should not happen in our country in this day and age. It shouldn't. And so these ethnic intimidation laws are designed to be a little stricter, to be to really send a message to say we're not going to tolerate.
Yeah, it's a deterrent. It's drawing a line in the sand, saying there are certain things that we as a society in whole will not accept and will not tolerate. And I would like to think, and again, we don't know all the facts of this case, and a judge will decide, and maybe a jury if it gets to that point, but maybe a jury will look at something and say, and I'm not an expert here, but I would assume that when you add those charges, what it does, especially if it goes to a jury, is you understand the intent and what was happening in their mind at the time of the crime.
Absolutely.
Is that kind of
because they're basically saying it. I'm doing this because you are, or because you believe, or because you think. And it really this type of thing is unacceptable, but laws are in place to try to minimize and mitigate
and to try to deter it. Right.
Exactly.
But again, it has to be a very intentional act.
Absolutely.
Right? It has to, again, that line in the sand, somebody has to say something or write something explicitly.
Exactly. And that's the thing that I really wanted to convey, and that's why we're talking about it, because because this is so hypersensitive. If you are a part of a minority group or part of a different sexual orientation or nationality,
victims could believe, oh, it's because I am black or because I am gay, whatever it might be.
Or they look at the state of the government and say, well, they're not prosecuting them. This is clearly a racial thing, and sometimes it's not as clear because those lines haven't been crossed.
Especially if you can't prove it in court. Exactly. Prosecutors aren't going to take anything to court that they know they have the evidence.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Always great.
Always.
Thank you very much.
Brother.
Thank you much. All right, when you head out the door, don't forget the sunglasses and sunscreen, and then you might have to swap that out for an umbrella. Ashley is tracking the steamy and stormy start to the week when we come back. Welcome back to Local 4 Live, everybody. A live look at downtown Milwaukee this morning as the city and other parts of our state are drying out from torrential rainfall. This is video from a bridge above the Milwaukee River capturing debris and rushing water into the downtown area. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the river is reaching major flood stage level, meaning a surge of at least 9 feet. Some areas in the city recorded up to 11 inches of rain in the past 24 hours. A state of emergency was declared in Milwaukee County as residents deal with historic flash flooding and neighborhoods that are underwater. Okay, nothing that bad in our neck of the woods right now, but we do have some storms on the horizon. Hopefully, they won't bring that much rain, though, Ashley.
Now, forewarned weather with Exact Track 4D.
Well, your out the door forecast for a new work week. It's going to be, we'll call it a melting Monday. It is hot, humid, just a steamy start to the week. So 90, 91, the afternoon high, but feeling more like mid 90s when you factor in the humidity. And we'll have a very similar setup tomorrow, but a better chance for maybe more numerous showers into the afternoon and evening on Tuesday compared to today's very isolated chances. But nonetheless, we have multiple chances of showers and some non-severe storms over the next couple of days, and those could produce some heavy downpours, but cold front sweeps through Wednesday. Behind that will be a drier, less humid air mass and slightly cooler temperatures. Still trending above average, but it'll be a little cooler than these 90s we're talking about. So a few afternoon showers and storms in the forecast, but otherwise we top out right around 90. We have more sunshine to start, a few more clouds mixing in throughout the afternoon, but that sunshine very filtered. We have that light smoke layer draping the region, and that's that wildfire smoke, but not as strong as what it was over the course of the last week or so. So moderate pollutants draping portions of southeastern Michigan for today. Now let's talk rain, because we dodged a massive rain system that was over Milwaukee over the weekend, bringing flash flooding to that area just west of Lake Michigan. And as that pushed to the east-northeast, it definitely tapered off as it worked its way across lower Michigan. So we stayed dry, but up north, closer to Traverse City, saw some of that rain. We'll zoom in a bit closer where you see several inches of rain that fell in a very short amount of time in Milwaukee and just north of the city. Hour by hour look at our rain chances. So you see that they are very spotty after 2 o'clock this afternoon. This is a little snapshot right around 5. These are those popcorn type of showers, very similar to what you see in Florida, where in the heat of the day, you get that passing downpour and it fizzles out. Now Tuesday before 2 p.m., I'm not ruling out a few of these showers developing, but they do become more numerous and definitely heavier once we get into Tuesday evening. Possibly even some widespread rain come Tuesday night, which will be great to give your lawn a break from the heat that we've been dealing with. And Wednesday, as that cold front pushes through, we still could have a lingering shower. But tonight, don't anticipate opening up the windows. 72 for the overnight low, partly cloudy skies and still muggy out there as we hold on to a south-southwesterly breeze. Tomorrow night, we'd have some neat viewing in the sky if we didn't have the rain in the forecast. And so the Perseids meteor shower is set to peak tomorrow night after midnight. But before you're like, oh, what a bummer. Well, you still can see it. I mean, we've been dealing with this throughout the month, and it'll continue all the way till about August 23rd. But 50 to 100 meteors per hour is during the peak, which would be tomorrow night. You just want to stay away from city lights if you're going to take that in for the later part of the week as we clear out the sky. So cold front sweeps through, cooler air will then build in as we go into your Thursday and your Friday. You see, though, still above average. 82 is average, and we'll be in the mid, maybe even upper 80s. But we get some sunshine to round out the work week, and before you know it, this weekend, it's going to be another hot one on either side of 90.
All right, Ashley, thank you so much. Now, during this time of year, summer, it's always difficult to collect enough blood to meet the needs of patients. So Local 4 is teaming up with Gardner White Furniture and the American Red Cross to help. Tomorrow, you can donate blood from 11 a.m. to 4:45 at the Gardner White stores in Ann Arbor, Novi, Saginaw, and Taylor. All blood types are needed right now, but especially types O positive and B negative. You can schedule an appointment at clickondetroit.com, or you can visit redcrossblood.org. All right, we're going to put a fork in which is the best breakfast spot in Metro Detroit, and this is a beautiful spot for a day at the beach. We're taking a live look over Grand Haven on the west side of Michigan. A look at Vote for the Best, the breakfast winners, when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. School supplies can really add up, especially for families living from paycheck to paycheck. You can help more children start the school year off right during our Go For It school supply drive. We're going to be at the Walmart on Dix Toledo Road in Southgate this coming Thursday, August 14th from 6 to 6. You can drop off supplies, including new backpacks, glue sticks, highlighters, and more. For a full list, just scan the QR code there on your screen, or you can go to clickondetroit.com. We are teaming up with the Salvation Army Down River Corps to help distribute those items to all the students who could use some. That's my jam. Are you hungry for some breakfast? It is now time to reveal the winner of the best breakfast in our annual Vote for the Best. Here it is, taking the top spot for best breakfast is the Jagged Fork. Not far behind is Kate's Kitchen in Flat Rock, Anna's House, the Dime Store in Detroit, and the Westland Family Dining. You can check out the full list again and see more of our reveals right now over on clickondetroit.com. We're going to be making these reveals all week right here on Local 4 Live. Tomorrow morning, we're going to reveal the winners of the best bagels. So much more to come here in our next hour of Local 4. With this new school year fast approaching, student safety and mental health are taking center stage. Two experts from OK to Say join us to discuss a new report and what schools can do to protect and support those students. And we're keeping an eye on the stock market set to open in about half an hour. What Wall Street is expecting with today's open. And then the American Ninja Warrior season 17 finale is almost here, just hours away actually. Tonight, the season's top athletes face off in a brand new bracket style battle for the title. Two former contestants and coaches are going to be right here in studio with a sneak peek at the action of what that competition is really like. Local 4 Live will be right back.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Well, welcome everybody to Local 4 Live. I'm Nick Monticelli. It is 9 o'clock. We've got so much to cover here in the next hour. Let me break it all down for you. With the new school year just around the corner, safety and mental health are front and center for students and parents. We're going to talk to two experts from the Michigan State Police about a new report and the steps schools can take to make students safe. And a look at Detroit right now. We're staying on top of those temperatures. Ashley is breaking down more incoming heat and some storms. And the countdown is on. We're just hours away from the American Ninja Warrior Season 17 finale. We're going to talk to two former contestants and coaches with a preview of the high-stakes bracket-style showdown to crown this year's champion. Well, today, Detroit police are searching for the person who killed two people at a pool party over the weekend. This happened just before 10 o'clock on Saturday night near 7 Mile and Fleming. Police say 4 people were stabbed. A man and a woman died. One man is expected to survive. Another is in critical condition. Neighbors say the home is often rented out for parties.
It's loud, it's rowdy. They block up the street, they fly down the street. They have no respect for the neighborhood.
With this being so close to home, you know, that was really scary for me.
Well, meanwhile, police say they know who the suspect is, but have not yet made an arrest. Anybody with information is asked to call Detroit police. Let's take a live look at the White House this morning, where President Donald Trump is expected to announce the deployment of up to 1,000 National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. Several White House officials say Trump is set to announce that deployment sometime today. Officials have said the decision is not final and the number of guardsmen and women still being determined, but would likely be pulled from the D.C. National Guard. The White House officials also say the decision is to help make D.C. safe again. Well, today, Detroit's Corktown and Mexican Town neighborhoods are moving closer towards a major transformation. City leaders are set to unveil big plans for the Detroit City Football Club, including details on a new soccer stadium. Local 4's Shante Passmore has more on what is ahead.
Hey, good morning, Nick, and to everyone watching. You know, this has been a long time coming. Detroit City Football Club really making a name for itself in the world of professional soccer in America. And by now, a lot of people already know that this old hospital in Southwest Detroit, that's going to be their new home. But what is it going to look like? What is it going to be called? Well, those are some of the details that we're hoping to learn later tonight. At last check, DCFC proposed an 11-acre development headlined by a 15,000 capacity soccer stadium. We're learning it's not just going to be a sports venue, but a spot for other entertainment like concerts. And the $150 million project for DCFC will be privately financed and owned and operated by the team. Now, officials believe this new stadium could also spur growth for more homes and shopping in Corktown and in Mexican Town. And 2027, that is the year I want all of us to remember, because that is when the club is hoping to open up the stadium. As for that big announcement, of course, Local 4 will be there. You can actually catch it on Local 4 Plus starting at 7. We're in Southwest Detroit. I'm Shante Passmore, Local 4.
That's right here, Local 4 Plus, 7 o'clock tonight. Also, let's take a live look at Ford Field right now. We're in just under an hour. We are expecting to hear from Detroit Lions head coach Dan Campbell on the condition of safety Maurice Norris. Norris came back to the team's training facility with teammates yesterday, just 2 days after he was taken off the field in an ambulance late in a preseason game against the Falcons. He went down after a tackle on Falcons running back Nathan Carter. Medical staff spent 20 minutes tending to Norris on the field before an ambulance took him to a local hospital. Norris posted on social media to reassure fans, writing, quote, "I am all good, man. Don't stress," end quote. Well, as we head into a new school year, we know safety is top of mind for students and parents. Today, we're looking into a report that highlights the need for safety and mental health support in schools. The state's confidential safety tip line is called OK to Say. It's reporting a 20% surge in tip volume compared to a year before. State police say they have received more than 11,600 tips. That's the highest number since the program was launched in 2014. Let's take a look at the top 5 categories of tips. Number 1, bullying. Number 2, suicide. And third was a combination of mental health issues like anxiety, stress, depression, and harassment. Fourth was tips on drugs. And fifth was sexual assault, misconduct, and exploitation. Well, joining us now to talk about what can be done about this is Mary Drew with the Michigan State Police's Office of School Safety and Peter Hoffman, the OK to Say program specialist with MSP. Thank you both for joining me. Simple question for either one of you or both of you. Why are we seeing the numbers go up? Is it more people understanding the program or more people being comfortable with it, or
feel that, the program has celebrated our 10th year anniversary this year. And I do think that kids and adults are very familiar with the program. And part of the rationale is we're out there doing presentations in school and helping educate and inform our public about the program. And the truth is, after we finish a presentation, we start to see our tip numbers go up in that specific school. I think the kids know that if they have the courage to come forward, something happens with the tip. And I think it just is worked out really, really well. Kids can see that when they come forward and they let okay to say no, that we do follow up with all of our tips and make sure, to the best of our ability, that something happens with each and every tip.
Yeah. Peter, what do you think?
I would agree with Mary.
Yeah.
I think we're seeing this because kids know and our tipsters know that we're seeing the increase in tips because they know that the program works.
Okay, so let me ask you about this then. It has been a struggle over the past many decades to get kids and students to be more comfortable talking about issues, especially those surrounding mental health. What kind of strides have been made, and do you think that OK to Say is helping them in that regard, because whatever they say is anonymous and confidential?
I think you hit it dead on there, and that it is the confidentiality that helps OK to Say make the strides that we have. And I think that the kids, the tipsters, anyone who tips in, knowing that their information as tipsters will be kept confidential, allows them more freedom to provide information when they would not necessarily feel comfortable or feel able to provide that in a face-to-face setting, or knowing that their names might be attached to it. We work with law enforcement and schools to provide as much information as we can as provided, but that confidentiality is something that is core to our program, and I think is a major reason for the successes that we have seen.
Gotcha. Mary, let me ask you this. Again, depending on the type of tip, I'm sure it changes the answer drastically, but if I'm a student and I send something in, what happens then?
Well, as soon as the tip, it's received in with our OK to Say technicians, they're automatically assessing it and determining whether they need further information. So that may mean further communication with the tipster. Generally, you'll sometimes see a tipster who might start off a tip with "Hi," and it's like, "Hi, how are you? Can we help you?" So it's a building a confidence where the kids are willing to come forward and give us more information. Once OK to Say has all those key details, the who, the what, the where, the when, the why, they are taking the information and passing it on to the most responsible agency. So oftentimes the tip will go to a school. It sometimes can go to local law enforcement. And again, each tip kind of varies on where it could go. Sometimes we've had situations with child abuse and neglect. So that can involve our protective services agency as well. So again, the technicians just do a great job of getting the information from the students and then forward it on to the most responsible, agency that will take the tip and run with it.
You know, I've been in multiple schools over multiple years for multiple different stories. And one of the things that I always take away when talking to kids is that so often they feel like they're just not heard at all. Do you think that this is a tool that actually can change that?
I think it does. And part of the reason why, I do believe that kids have gone to trusted adults in their lives and maybe nothing changes. This is a tool that kids can use respectfully, responsibly, and I think that they are. But the one thing that sets us apart is that once a tip is submitted to a school or to local law enforcement, the team follows up to make sure that something happens through an outcome report. And I think that kids believe that, gosh, Michigan State Police is following up. They want to make sure that something happens with the tip. So I do believe that that is another avenue that gives kids a little bit of confidence that the program is working and that, the team is following up.
Yeah. Okay, Mary, Peter, we're going to take a short 90-second break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about the program. And I want to talk more about mental health and what happens on that side of things. So we'll be right back.
All right, sounds good.
Sounds great.
Welcome back, everybody. Back now with Mary Drew with the Michigan State Police Office of School Safety and Peter Hoffman, the OK to Say program specialist with the Michigan State Police. Thank you again, both of you, for joining us. More on the mental health aspect of this. My understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that there are folks on the other side of this app that if a student or anybody texts in or gets on the app and says that they are having suicidal thoughts or need some help, that there's people there that will talk to them, and they're trained for this.
Yeah, absolutely. Our techs go through significant training in regards to dealing with these types of situations, and we have very specific policies in place to help work with those people that are tipping in or saying they are having thoughts of self-harm or suicidal ideation. And we also work very closely with our partner agencies through local law enforcement, through schools, et cetera, to make sure that if we are getting a tip like this, if we are receiving it, and if our techs are, we're making sure that that tip is passed immediately to first responders who can potentially intervene to ensure that that tipster's life is protected or the subject of the tip's life is protected.
Yeah. Mary, I know the program has been around for, 10 plus years now at this point. I don't know if I want to call it success stories, but it's kind of the best I can come with off the top of my head. Have you had conversations with, I'm focusing on students here who have reached out asking for help or have reached out, wanting to highlight something, and we get to kind of see things come full circle?
Yes, we've had some really major success stories where a student came forward and as a result, maybe a friend or a peer got the help that they needed. We've had situations where then the tipster will call back and just say thank you. And I think that's really, very rewarding when you see that the student has seen the program has helped to intervene on behalf of a friend or a classmate. So absolutely, we've had some tremendous successes. And I've also gone on at various speaking engagements where a student will come up and tell you a story about how maybe OK to Say helped a friend or maybe helped themselves. And so it really is just a really life-giving program because, again, it's about encouraging kids to come forward, but then also knowing that something will happen when they submit the tip.
It's interesting, when the three of us were in school, and we don't have to say how old we are, but when we were in school, there was always this stigma surrounding mental health or ratting your friend out or tattling. And I feel like that's diminishing in schools. And I think this app is helping with that. But what do you think?
I do think that kids are more willing to talk about mental health, and I think that's a great thing. But one thing I do always try to bring to light when we're talking about the OK to Say is that 70% of the tips that are coming in is new information from a school or for local law enforcement, and this is based upon our outcome reports. So as much as we're trying to get kids to tell a trusted adult, the truth is, we know that there is a code of silence. So that's one of the benefits about this program is that it does give kids the avenue to be able to communicate when they're worried about a friend or a classmate. So again, the kids can call, text, email, go online, or download the mobile app. Kids are comfortable using technology, and so oftentimes that will be the mechanism where students relay that information. So again, what we wanted to do is give kids every opportunity to be able to take the information. The other thing I do want to mention is that once the information is going to a school, I will say schools and local law enforcement are doing a phenomenal job of taking the tip information and making sure that that student gets the help they need. So I always want to try to recognize those school administrators and school counselors and teachers and our local law enforcement partners, because they really are the ones who are helping to intervene successfully. Yeah. So, it's all of us working together to make sure our kids are safe.
Peter, I wanted to ask you too, from your perspective on things, a lot of students, as we talked about earlier on here, are more comfortable with this because they believe and they know that they can remain anonymous and things are confidential. That must mean a lot to you, and you must have to take that very seriously on your side of things, because if you start to break that and trust goes away, then the whole thing falls apart.
It does. And the confidentiality is truly the bedrock of our program, and I think truly the bedrock of the success that we have seen over the last 10 years in the program. And I think for the kids that are tipping in, for the people that, and it's not just kids, for the adults, for the parents, for anyone who is tipping in on this, knowing that their information is going to be protected allows them a level of safety and mental well-being that they can share information that they might normally not share. And our techs do a phenomenal job. They're some of the hardest working people in the Michigan State Police, just with the volume of tips that they receive. But they do a phenomenal job communicating with the tipsters and drawing out and eliciting more and more information from them to allow us to make a more informed response with that. But again, the bedrock of all of that is the confidentiality. And truly, I'd say that is, if there's one thing that has led to the success of our program, it is that confidentiality.
Yeah. Okay, Mary, Peter, thank you so much for your time on this Monday morning. I do want to take a moment to highlight all of the ways that you can reach out to the OK to Say program. There's so many different ways. You can call 855-5-OK to Say. You can text 652729, which is OK to Say. You can email oktosay@mi.gov. There's the website, which is oktosay.com. Or you can download the mobile app, which is available on Android and Apple phones, on the iPhones, and all of the different app stores. Again, we're going to put all this up on clickondetroit.com so you can see it easily, but it's a great, great app, around for 10 plus years now, really making a difference in the lives of school kids across the state of Michigan. Okay, when we take a short break here, we're going to look at the close issues we're having with orange barrels. So many drivers, so frustrated. And especially in Oakland County, where they're going to see even more of them. We'll show you where coming up. Well, drivers in Oakland County might have to find another way around after a busy intersection is now closed for about 2 weeks. This is happening at Brown and Jocelyn Roads on the Auburn Hills and Orion Township border. They're saying it's going to be closed off to traffic for railroad crossing repairs. If you want to know more about this closure, we've got the details over on our website at clickondetroit.com. Okay, let's get to Ashley now with a look at your forecast, which includes more heat and potential storms on the way. Hey, Ash.
Now, forewarned weather with Exact Track 4D.
Well, your out the door forecast for a new work week. It's going to be, we'll call it a melting Monday. It is hot, humid, just a steamy start to the week. So 90, 91, the afternoon high, but feeling more like mid 90s when you factor in the humidity. And we'll have a very similar setup tomorrow, but a better chance for maybe more numerous showers into the afternoon and evening on Tuesday compared to today's very isolated chances. But nonetheless, we have multiple chances of showers and some non-severe storms over the next couple of days, and those could produce some heavy downpours, but cold front sweeps through Wednesday. Behind that will be a drier, less humid air mass and slightly cooler temperatures. Still trending above average, but it'll be a little cooler than these 90s we're talking about. So a few afternoon showers and storms in the forecast, but otherwise we top out right around 90. We have more sunshine to start, a few more clouds mixing in throughout the afternoon, but that sunshine very filtered. We have that light smoke layer draping the region, and that's that wildfire smoke, but not as strong as what it was over the course of the last week or so. So moderate pollutants draping portions of southeastern Michigan for today. Now let's talk rain, because we dodged a massive rain system that was over Milwaukee over the weekend, bringing flash flooding to that area just west of Lake Michigan. And as that pushed to the east-northeast, it definitely tapered off as it worked its way across lower Michigan. So we stayed dry, but up north, closer to Traverse City, saw some of that rain. We'll zoom in a bit closer where you see several inches of rain that fell in a very short amount of time in Milwaukee and just north of the city. Hour by hour look at our rain chances. So you see that they are very spotty after 2 o'clock this afternoon. This is a little snapshot right around 5. These are those popcorn type of showers, very similar to what you see in Florida, where in the heat of the day, you get that passing downpour and it fizzles out. Now Tuesday, before 2 p.m., I'm not ruling out a few of these showers developing, but they do become more numerous and definitely heavier once we get into Tuesday evening. Possibly even some widespread rain come Tuesday night, which will be great to give your lawn a break from the heat that we've been dealing with. And Wednesday, as that cold front pushes through, we still could have a lingering shower. But tonight, don't anticipate opening up the windows. 72 for the overnight low, partly cloudy skies and still muggy out there as we hold on to a south-southwesterly breeze. Tomorrow night, we'd have some neat viewing in the sky if we didn't have the rain in the forecast. And so the Perseids meteor shower is set to peak tomorrow night after midnight. But before you're like, oh, what a bummer. Well, you still can see it. I mean, we've been dealing with this throughout the month, and it'll continue all the way till about August 23rd. But 50 to 100 meteors per hour is during the peak, which would be tomorrow night. You just want to stay away from city lights if you're going to take that in for the later part of the week as we clear out the sky. So cold front sweeps through, cooler air will then build in as we go into your Thursday and your Friday. You see, though, still above average. 82 is the average, and we'll be in the mid, maybe even upper 80s. But we get some sunshine to round out the work week, and before you know it, this weekend, it's going to be another hot one on either side of 90.
Ashley, thank you so much. When we come back, we're going to tell you why 2 major chip companies have agreed to pay the federal government 15% of their revenue. Welcome back, everybody. 2 major microchip makers, NVIDIA and Advanced Micro Devices, have agreed to pay the federal government 15% of the revenues from semiconductor sales to China. In exchange, the 2 companies will obtain export licenses to sell chips in China. This is a reversal for the Trump administration, which had imposed tough U.S. restrictions on chip sales to Beijing. Well, a popular brand of ice cream is issuing a recall after a labeling mistake led to some undeclared allergens. Friendly's brand ice cream has issued a recall for over 300 tubs of ice cream that were packaged in vanilla bean containers, but with cookies and cream lids. Experts say the mismatch means some people with soy and wheat allergies could be exposed to the unlisted ingredients. So far, no illnesses have been reported. More info is on the FDA's website. Well, Paramount's new CEO is backing the latest season of South Park despite its jabs at President Trump. The comments come amid recent tensions between Trump and Paramount CBS's division. CEO David Ellison says he has been a fan of the sometimes offensive show his entire adult life. Ellison added Paramount follows all laws and regulations, including anti-bribery rules. Well, American Ninja Warrior's 17th finale is approaching, and contestants will need to push their bodies to the limit to make it to the top spot. Next, we're talking to two ANW coaches about what it takes to bring home that $1 million prize.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Local 4 Live. I'm Nick Monticelli. Thank you so much for watching. Well, we are almost about 11 hours away from the American Ninja Warrior 17th finale. Tonight, several ninjas are fighting for the top spots in the ultimate athletic competition. The energy is high. The stakes are even higher as these season's top athletes compete side by side in a new bracket-style final. Joining me now to give us some insight into tonight's finale, we got two American Ninja Warrior coaches and former contestants. Philip Scotts is over there. Ethan Gardolski is over here. Thank you very much. You guys both live in the area, right?
Yep.
Where are you from?
I'm from Riverview.
Okay.
I'm from Plymouth. Yep.
All right, so close enough. Every time I watch this show, I think, oh, I could do that. And then I know I can't. What does it take to be on the show and get yourself ready?
It just takes a lot of, obviously, practice, determination, lots of preparation, both physically and mentally. Most people that do ninja tend to do a lot of training like on obstacles themselves at like different ninja gyms or replicas they build themselves.
Right, right. Ethan, what about you? Because you competed too, right?
Yep. So I've been training probably about 6, maybe 7 years by now, and yeah, so real hard training. It's constant in and out of the gym. Yeah.
So, I mean, gym is one thing, stamina is another, but being able to do some of these obstacles, just ridiculous. Like, how do you simulate some of that as you're practicing and getting ready for the actual course?
Well, you visualize it a lot, obviously. A lot of people, especially behind the scenes, if you don't, what you don't see is everybody's, while they're getting ready for their runs, they're like mimicking the motions and stuff of moving through, just like visualizing it, closing their eyes, like hopping through and stuff. Yeah, that's a big part. Just visualization, feeling how it is to be on that course.
Right.
It does work.
Now, is there any added pressure of just being there? I mean, there you are right there, but the lights and the cameras and the people, like, does that add to it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's like, in my opinion, the hardest part. So
really,
how we have obstacles usually set up and train on, usually a lot harder than a lot of stuff on the show. But then, like when you're actually on there, the nerves and whatnot usually bring down like performance levels, you know?
I'm sure, yeah. So. Now, you guys kind of have a backstory because you basically begged and pleaded for him to coach you, right?
Yes.
How did that go? What happened?
I don't know. I was probably like 12 years old, walked into the gym. I mean, he was the best one back then, so I was
he
always
still is, it's all right.
It still is. I was always following him around, trying to like get him to do challenges I made up and whatnot, and eventually it just worked out, you know?
Yeah. So now are you like legit coaching?
Oh yeah, both of us definitely do a lot of coaching and stuff too. Yeah.
All right. So tonight is the 17th finale, and with this bracket style challenge, do you think it's better or worse for the athletes?
I'd say the competition is definitely more intense than ever, but the sportsmanship's always there. If you see them on like at the start line, they definitely fist bump, and everybody knows each other in the community. Right. But it definitely makes it like that much more. Like you got it just the intensity just ramped up a lot.
Now looking at both of you guys, I know you both made it pretty close to the end of each course. Yeah. And I hate to bring up old memories, but what is that like when you're right there?
Ooh. Yeah. It's brutal. I mean, so in season 16 I had some experience racing. To get back to that, it's like I mean the sportsmanship is great, but then I fell right before it got to the finish, and it's just like it's right there and you're just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, do you still beat yourself up over it?
I try not to.
Yeah. Right. What about you, Phil?
Yeah, it's always tough, and you always replay it a lot, but that's part of the sport. That's the best athletes ever, like all of them have fallen at some point or another, and it's any slip up can happen. That's just part of what makes ninjas so fun.
Right. I want to ask you something, and I mean no disrespect by this in any way, shape, or form, but do you guys have a hard time convincing other people about what goes into this and like how you really are athletes?
Yeah, I think people don't realize just like, I mean, obviously it is a TV show, but it's so much more than that, obviously.
I mean, football's on TV too, so.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it is such a great outlet. And I'm really glad that we're able to like show that on a big stage, you know.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I would imagine that once people see it, they see the show, like, oh, holy crap, they are really good.
Yeah.
What was it like for you especially because how old are you now?
About to turn 19, about a week. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Happy 19.
Exactly a week.
Such a baby. That had to be pretty cool. I mean, especially coming back home, and because the taping to the airing, it's not always live, right? So yours taped and then it was on.
We taped back last fall, September, October time.
Okay, so it was on when then?
Both our episodes aired June and July.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? So I mean, did you have to kind of keep things under wraps then?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We can't tell anybody how it goes. No.
So
that had to be tough.
Season 16, so we filmed 15 and then 16. It was 2 years I had to keep it under wraps for. So that one was brutal.
Yeah. Did you get a little kind of stardom when people finally saw it?
Yeah, a bit. Yeah, I mean, obviously you get a few more people following you online on social media and stuff, so that's cool. And it's always nice to get nice messages from people.
Yeah, right. What about you, especially being younger?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Same thing. Yeah.
All right.
Nice messages, people saying we inspired them and whatnot.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. My next question for you is that if somebody is watching the two of you or watching this show and like, man, I really want to do that, what's your advice on like just some first steps? How do they get into this?
Yeah, so I'd say get out and move. Find a ninja gym near you. There's so many popping up across the country, and it's just get moving. No judgment. I mean, when I started. I mean, I was a little kid and I couldn't do pull-ups or anything like that. You just enjoy it.
Right.
I'd say. I mean, we have a great community right now over in Southfield at Grips Gym. I mean.
Yeah.
Come in anytime.
There you go. There's your free little plug.
Yeah.
Is it more about upper body and upper core strength than lower body, or what would you say focus on?
It's more full body than you'd expect.
Is it?
Yeah, because you got to use even when you're swinging up in the air. I mean, there are some like agility obstacles. I mean, I fell on a agility thing like running across the logs, but it is something where it is upper and lower body. Like even when you're swinging, you still got to like have the mechanics, kind of like gymnastics, how, you know, on the uneven bars and stuff, how you got to like, you see them like kip up, but they're using their legs when they're kipping up too. So it is a lot more, most obstacles take like upper body strength, but it takes a lot like just full body awareness as well.
And how do you practice the agility portion of it? Like, there's no spinning logs in your gym.
Well, we do have spinning logs.
You do have spinning logs in the gym.
I mean, we have a lot of replicas. I mean, it's a full-on, I mean, even outside of the show, it's a full-on sport right now. Lots of leagues growing. So there's lots of competitions hosted and whatnot. So
And is that like those agility things, as you mentioned, is that maybe one of the toughest things? Because those are things you can't, I mean, you can replicate them, but you're not in full control of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you can practice it a lot, but the ones on the show are so big scale that like it's hard to replicate perfectly.
Sure.
And
does it make it harder or easier?
Harder, just because, especially with like the lights and like obviously like when you're seeing it up close, there's so many, like they have it painted all like fancy patterns and stuff.
Right,
so it's like, and there's lights, and so it's like makes it that much tougher. But that's when the practice really comes into play. Is just like trust in your training and just really just hitting your marks.
Right. Okay. Last question for you.
Yeah.
When you fall in the water,
yeah,
is it warm or cold?
Cold.
It depends. It's been either way for me.
It's been 3 times now. I'd say Vegas was the warmest.
Oh well.
Oh yeah.
I get that. Yeah.
Vegas was nice.
But it's not like a heated warm, you know, to.
Oh, it's just a pool with water.
Okay, Phil, Ethan, thank you guys so much for coming in.
Absolutely.
I cannot wait to see tonight. Who's your money on? What are you thinking?
Ooh, my pick for this season is Noah Munier, I'd say.
I'd agree with that. We were talking about him earlier. He's really good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Our money is on Noah. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your time today.
Absolutely.
All right, hang on just for a second there. Actually, don't forget you can watch American Ninja Warrior. The finale is on NBC tonight at 8 o'clock right here on Local 4. Well, President Trump is pushing for a peace between Ukraine and Russia. However, the president says a deal between the two countries could come with compromises, what Ukraine says it is not willing to give up. Welcome back. Let's take a live look at the White House this morning, where President Trump is prepping to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin. That's going to happen later this week in Alaska in an effort to end the war in Ukraine. President Trump has suggested a peace deal will include swapping territory, but Ukraine's leader says his country will not cede any land. And there are new questions over whether he will join the meeting, too. NBC's Alice Barr has more from Washington.
Good morning. President Trump made it a key campaign promise to swiftly end the war in Ukraine. And as that has proven difficult, his public frustration with Russia's leader has grown, all setting the backdrop to this week's critical meeting. Preparations are underway for high-stakes talks at the end of the week aimed at ending Russia's war on Ukraine. President Trump set to meet Friday with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska, with the potential for Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to join.
The only way to make peace is to sit down and talk.
Vice President J.D. Vance met in England over the weekend with top Ukrainian officials and European allies, talking through Ukraine's peace proposals as Russia keeps up its punishing attacks. President Zelensky has said Ukraine will not give up its land to occupiers, something President Trump said may be necessary.
There'll be some swapping of territories to the betterment of both.
White House Special Envoy Keith Kellogg heads to Ukraine today to continue talks. As a senior U.S. official tells NBC News, the White House is considering inviting President Zelensky to the Alaska meeting, though Russia's leader has said Ukraine was far from meeting its conditions for face-to-face talks. Democrats pressing for a Ukrainian presence and criticizing the location.
Putin is a war criminal. This is not a show of strength to allow him to fly into the United States.
Republicans pushing back, while some are calling for more protections for Ukraine.
Security guarantees to Ukraine to prevent Russia from doing this again.
President Trump heads into the meeting having sharply shifted his tone toward more vocal criticism of President Putin and threats of added sanctions, increasingly frustrated as the Russian assault drags on. The leaders of several European nations reaffirmed they're, quote, committed to the principle that international borders must not be changed by force. As the NATO Secretary General said, any territory Ukraine may cede must not be legally recognized as part of Russia under international law. In Washington, I'm Alice Barr. Back to you.
All right, Alice, thank you so much. Let's take a live look at the board now. Currently 0.08% up. Oh, 9%. 0.9. Oh, now it's back down. I could do this all day, I think. Wall Street looking to hold on the gains they made last week ahead of two key inflation reports favored by the Fed. On Friday, the Dow gained 206 points. NASDAQ nearly the same, adding 207. The S&P rose 49 points. Over in Gaza, where an Israeli strike over the weekend left several people dead, including multiple journalists. The 4 journalists killed were from the network news Al Jazeera, who had previously been threatened by Israel. The Israeli military said it targeted and killed an Al Jazeera reporter who has been covering the war from inside Gaza after accusing him of leading a Hamas cell, an allegation Al Jazeera had previously denied. Gaza officials say the strike killed at least 7 people in total. President Trump and Governor Newsom's lawyers are facing off in a San Francisco courtroom. The trial will decide if Trump broke a 147-year-old law by sending the National Guard to California in June. This was during mass protests over immigration raids in Los Angeles. Newsom says Trump's action violated the 10th Amendment, while Trump's team argues they were justified as the troops were there to protect federal property. Well, people in Yuba County, California are being forced to evacuate after a massive wildfire erupted yesterday afternoon. This is named the Ponderosa Fire. The blaze has scorched 87 acres so far. Currently, it's 17% contained, but evacuation orders are in place for several zones due to immediate threats to life. Firefighters are working hard to control the fire, while what it sparked, what caused it, is under investigation. Well, heading back home now, where in just a few minutes, the man accused of committing a hate crime against 2 same-sex couples will be back in court. Police say 26-year-old William Wilson reportedly attacked the group outside of the MGM Casino in downtown Detroit. Investigators say the attack happened July 13th in the Valet area. Shantae Passmore has more on the case.
Nick, good morning. For the 2 same-sex couples, a night of fun ends with them fearing for their lives. The group tells Local 4 that William Wilson reportedly hurled homophobic slurs at them before also swinging at them as well. And later today in court, a judge will have to decide if there's enough evidence for that man to stand trial for these hate crime charges. Last month, Local 4 reported on how Chelsea and her wife Celia, along with Celia's brother David and his fiance Zach, parked at MGM to go to a concert. After returning to pick the car up from valet around 1 a.m., that's when they were approached by two men, obviously intoxicated. After asking the men to leave them alone, the men, one of them now identified as 26-year-old William Wilson, started to punch Chelsea's wife over and over again. And this morning, we should warn you, her injuries may be disturbing for some viewers. It was actually Chelsea who wound up chasing Wilson while calling 911, which led to his arrest and the charges, of course. This morning, records show that he is out on bond. As for the court appearance, that's scheduled for 10 o'clock this morning. I'm Shantae Passmore, Local 4.
Shantae, thank you so much. Let's take a live look at Milwaukee right now. It is calm, but much of the state still recovering from major flooding that has left parts of Wisconsin in water. We're going to take you there after this break. Welcome back, everybody. Heavy rain has left parts of Milwaukee covered in water with flash flooding, causing major concern across the country. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration reports the river has reached major flood stage with levels surging more than 9 feet, threatening nearby streets and buildings. Officials are urging residents to avoid flooding the flooded areas and use caution if they are traveling. Ashley?
Now, forewarned weather with Exact Track 4D.
Well, your out the door forecast for a new work week. It's going to be, we'll call it a melting Monday. It is hot, humid, just a steamy start to the week. So 90, 91, the afternoon high, but feeling more like mid-90s when you factor in the humidity. And we'll have a very similar setup tomorrow, but a better chance for maybe more numerous showers into the afternoon and evening on Tuesday compared to today's very isolated chances. But nonetheless, we have multiple chances of showers and some non-severe storms over the next couple of days, and those could produce some heavy downpours, but cold front sweeps through Wednesday. Behind that will be a drier, less humid air mass and slightly cooler temperatures. Still trending above average, but it'll be a little cooler than these 90s we're talking about. So a few afternoon showers and storms in the forecast, but otherwise we top out right around 90. We have more sunshine to start, a few more clouds mixing in throughout the afternoon, but that sunshine very filtered. We have that light smoke layer draping the region, and that's that wildfire smoke, but not as strong as what it was over the course of the last week or so. So moderate pollutants draping portions of southeastern Michigan for today. Now let's talk rain, because we dodged a massive rain system that was over Milwaukee over the weekend, bringing flash flooding to that area just west of Lake Michigan. And as that pushed to the east-northeast, it definitely tapered off as it worked its way across lower Michigan. So we stayed dry, but up north, closer to Traverse City, saw some of that rain. We'll zoom in a bit closer where you see several inches of rain that fell in a very short amount of time in Milwaukee and just north of the city. hour-by-hour look at our rain chances. So you see that they are very spotty after 2 o'clock this afternoon. This is a little snapshot right around 5. These are those popcorn type of showers, very similar to what you see in Florida, where in the heat of the day, you get that passing downpour and it fizzles out. Now, Tuesday, before 2 p.m., I'm not ruling out a few of these showers developing, but they do become more numerous and definitely heavier once we get into Tuesday evening. Possibly even some widespread rain come Tuesday night, which will be great to give your lawn a break from the heat that we've been dealing with. And Wednesday, as that cold front pushes through, we still could have a lingering shower. But tonight, don't anticipate opening up the windows. 72 for the overnight low, partly cloudy skies and still muggy out there as we hold on to a south-southwesterly breeze. Tomorrow night, we'd have some neat viewing in the sky if we didn't have the rain in the forecast. And so the Perseids meteor shower is set to peak tomorrow night after midnight. But before you're like, oh, what a bummer. Well, you still can see it. I mean, we've been dealing with this throughout the month, and it'll continue all the way till about August 23rd. But 50 to 100 meteors per hour is during the peak, which would be tomorrow night. You just want to stay away from city lights if you're going to take that in for the later part of the week as we clear out the sky. So cold front sweeps through, cooler air will then build in as we go into your Thursday and your Friday. You see, though, still above average. 82 is average and will be in the mid, maybe even upper 80s. But we get some sunshine to round out the work week, and before you know it, this weekend, it's going to be another hot one on either side of 90.
All right, Ashley, thank you so much. You're looking live at downtown Detroit now, thanks to our friends over in Windsor. When we come back, we're going to talk to Tati from Live in the D to see what's happening on Live in the D as you look at the D. Welcome back, everybody. You send them, we show them. That's our mantra for our My Picks. And today's comes from Sandy, who was watching the 1,000-foot Indiana Harbor cruise by at Palmer Park over in St. Clair. What a beautiful shot that is, Sandy. Thank you so much. Anybody can submit these types of photos under the My Picks tab over on clickondetroit.com. Well, look who happened to find her way to the studio. Your favorite spot to be at 9:55 every day.
This is where you'll find me, that's for sure. I know where to be but here.
Right? All right, so coming up on Live at the D, what do you got?
Do you have a pet peeve?
Oh, I have multiple pet peeves.
Well, we are talking about pet peeves, and I kind of assembled some of the most common ones. Okay. We're going to be talking about that on What's the Buzz.
What's yours?
People speaking loudly when it's unnecessary.
Okay.
Whether it's on the phone, because that's our executive producer, Steve's pet peeve, like blah, 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 blah. Got the other person on the speaker, but it's just being loud unnecessarily. How about you?
One of my biggest ones is people who refuse to use headphones on an airplane.
Oh, okay. We've got some airplane drama today, too.
You do?
We do.
Look at that segue.
We have hey, listen, we're in sync. We are in sync. But the big question, we got some advice from, I think, a Travel and Leisure magazine, an article I found, that is all about what do you do with that middle seat when it's empty?
Oh.
Who owns it? How do you share it?
Oh, you should. It's 50-50, right down the middle.
It's 50-50, right? Okay, everybody doesn't feel that way.
Who wouldn't feel that way?
Some people think that the first person to get there and sit down gets to decide what happens with that space.
Really?
Just saying. And they wrote an article about it.
And do what with it? Like, I just like to put the armrest up and just stretch out a little bit more, put my stuff on the seat, get my pretzels going.
Put more stuff underneath that little storage space. The space in the seat in front of you, where all our stuff is supposed to be stowed.
Like the under seat compartment thing there?
Exactly.
You stow your purse down there?
Exactly. And then putting down the tray table. Well, this is mine now.
Really?
We're sharing it.
Who needs to spread out that much, though? Like, what are you doing? Opening a nail salon on the flight?
Listen, it happens. It happens, but we've got some advice, and we're going to talk about it on the show today.
Okay.
You say heck no.
Well, I say share it.
Share, okay.
Yeah. And today's Monday.
It is Monday.
Do we have music?
We do have Music Monday. I'm really excited because we have a group coming in, Gabriel Duran, who is part of the Southwest Fest, which is happening in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And they're going to do a song for us.
Okay.
You're going to see what you're going to be able to see at this music festival in Southwest Detroit.
Little preview. Good show coming up today. It's always a good show, but Live at the D starts in an hour and 3 minutes right here on Local 4 and Local 4 Plus. Make sure you are tuning in. And if you are going out and about today, make sure you bring an umbrella to get rid of the sun, not the rain, and pack the sunscreen. Make it a great Monday, everybody.